Hi, my name is Serena Nahle, and today I will present my project entitled Dwelling Booths Located in Ras Beirut in the Sanaya area. This project studies how space can be created using multiple separate elements instead of one continuous structure. In this slide, I explained my personal understanding of fragmentation. A fragment is not something broken or missing. Each fragment is complete and exists on its own. This idea comes from theory, where fragments are seen as independent, meaning it creates through how these fragments relate to each other. So, in this project, I use separation to create space, not to break. In this slide, I compared separation and connection. Separation means each element is independent and creates tension through distance. Connection means everything becomes one object and loses individuality. I chose separation to make the space more dynamic. Separation makes each fragment independent and clear. Each element defines its own space without needing connection. The project is understood through the relationship between parts. The space between them becomes the most important. This project is divided in two groups. A central space is created between them. One side is more dynamic, the other more stable. The design works through distance and contrast. Separation is a strategy, not a loss. The void becomes the main space. Meaning comes from relationships between elements. Space is defined by both built and empty parts. This is the final study model. It is made of separated elements. The space between them creates the main experience, and it shows the idea of fragmentation in practice. This is the facade drawing of the project. It shows how the elements are arranged in elevation. Each part is different in proportions and in angles. This creates a dynamic and balanced composition. The fragments are placed in different directions, creating tension. They are not balanced, so instability is visible. The space between them connects the composition, and each element stays independent. We can see here that the form is divided into fragments titled Planes Creates Movement and Instability. The composition moves upward, overlapping elements create relationships, and the base keeps the structure stable. The fragments shift and create movement, where is an upward direction in the design. Overlapping elements create relationships, and each part remains independent. In my analysis, we can see that for me, the fragmentation are separation and the fragments are independent, not broken. They do not form one object. Meanings comes from the relationships, so separation becomes a design strategy. Each fragment is independent and does not merge. There is no central element. The project is experienced through movement. Space between elements creates rhythm and tension. Unity comes from relationships, not connections. And for the last part of my analysis, I mentioned that fragmentation is not about incompleteness, but elements stay independent but interact through space. This collage shows the site as layered and fragmented. It combined old and new natural and built elements. Separation shows disruption and time. The vertical layout shows movement and tension, so the site works through contrast and coexistence. This slide showed the site and its context. The area is dense around and open in the center, and there is a strong contrast between solid and void. This defines the spatial condition of the site. This slide shows building heights. The edges are higher and denser. The center is lower and open. This creates a gradient towards the park. This slide shows the sun and wind condition. Some areas are shaded, other exposed to the heat. Wind directions improved ventilation, and the park is more comfortable than the surroundings. Here we can see the movement around the site. Main roads carry vehicles around the park, and we can see that the park becomes a central point of circulation. The edges are loud because of traffic. The center is quieter. There's a gradient from noise and to calm, and the park becomes a quiet space. The area here is mostly residential. The edges have commercial activity, and the center is a public park, so the site mixes different uses. This project is organized. There is a central guide movement, different zones creating activity, open spaces allow flow, and the project connects circulation and public interactions. The project is based on fragmentation. It is made of separation platforms instead of volume. The gaps create movement and connection, and the circulation is through fragmented stairs, so the design creates a dynamic spatial experience. This model is made of stacked fragmented platforms. Circulation is through a central stairs system. There is a vertical element support the structure, and there is contrast between ground and elevated parts. The project is experienced through movement and transitions. This model is organized through four essential dwelling functions: rest, make, eat, and sleep. Instead of grouping them into one volume, I separated them into different platforms to create relationships through spaces. The bottom, the rest area, is more grounded and enclosured. It provides stability and moments of pause within the composition. Moving upward, the eat area is slightly elevated and more open, allowing the interaction and transition between levels. The make area is positioned in the center, connected to the circulation. It becomes an active zone where movement and activity happens. At the top, the sleep area is more isolated and elevated. This creates a sense of privacy and separation from more active space below. The stairs connects all these fragments, creating a sequence of movement instead of a direct connection. The user experiences the project through transition between spaces. And this is the final project inserted in the garden next to the library. And lastly, the interaction transforms the space from passive plaza into an active spatial experience. Thank you.